that the Palestinians have never been respected and have never been welcomed by any surrounding country, by any Islamic, Arabic, these countries in the Middle East, and I get it, and we're not going to say all Arabic because people say, okay, Iranian, Persian, Assyrian. I get that. I'm just using this as an umbrella term. Non-Jew countries, okay? Non-Jew countries. They don't like the Palestinians because they've all had problems. They have been nothing but problems. Now, with the history...
Doesn't get old.
Here. The Palestinians kind of hung Lebanon out to dry when they struck Israel right during the Lebanese Civil War. This was between 1975 and 1990, and that led to Israel invading southern Lebanon. For a very long time, the Lebanese, great food by the way, have been treating the Palestinians like dog shit. So most Palestinians, I didn't know this until this morning. Great find, Ginger Snap. If they're born in Lebanon, so Palestinians born in Lebanon have been denied citizenship. The majority of them. They're legally barred from working in professions like medicine, law, engineering. And you guys bitch about the United States. Think about this for a second. You guys talk about the Dreamer Act in the United States. Yeah. The majority of Palestinians born in Lebanon are denied citizenship completely. The real reason is they hate them, okay? 1951, in case you guys don't know this history with Jordan, there was a Palestinian assassinated the king of Jordan on Temple Mount.
Wow.
The great-grandfather of the current king. In Saudi Arabia, anyone showing any kind of support for the Palestinian cause can be imprisoned or worse. Hamas is an offshoot of the Muslim Brotherhood, which is a terrorist organization. They helped win the Egyptian election in 2012 before they were immediately overthrown by the Egyptian army in 2013.
So fast.
Getting over it, but 19 years later when they tried
That's right, in 1970, Palestinians, they tried to assassinate the king of Jordan, the father of the current king. It's like, hey, did that bother you? It's a displacement thing. They killed your great-grandfather, they tried to kill your dad, and we let the bygones be bygones. Oh, so let him in. Nah.
During the 1972 Olympic Games in Munich, 9 Israeli athletes and coaches were held by members of the Palestinian terror group Black September. The hostage situation that developed gripped and horrified the world, and brought to light the Palestinian cause in a violent manner. In the end, all 9 hostages, 5 Black September members, and 1 West German police officer were dead.
Palestinians, they're Sunni Muslims, and of course with Syria, they're anti-Sunni as it relates to the sentiment in Syria's government. They don't want anything to do with it, but they just say, hey, you guys go, you've got it, you don't need our help.
Yeah, you build a state over there, that's a nice plot.
Yeah, come on, you don't let them, no, hey, you know what, you take those pipes meant for water, you build rockets, and that feeling of accomplishment is something those Jews can never take away from you.
That's right, don't let them push you around.
And I would be doing every member of this terrorist organization a disservice if I didn't allow you to build that yourself.
The Palestinian group Hamas has released footage showing an end-to-end process of making rockets from water pipes. What's particularly shocking is that these pipes are courtesy of donations from the EU. Europe spent $100 million of taxpayers' money on 30 miles of water pipes in Gaza and Palestine. These steel pipes are now being excavated for a sinister use.
This isn't even a secret. Hamas literally filmed this footage themselves.
Said this assault began early this morning under a barrage of thousands of rockets, and these Palestinian gunmen coming by land, by sea, and by air.
October 7th, Hamas sent thousands of terrorists to infiltrate into Israel. They broke into more than a dozen communities, massacred entire families, committing horrific and sadistic acts. They slaughtered 260 young people at a music festival. On that day in total, Hamas murdered more than 1,400 people.
Hamas's charter emphasizes they have no beef with Christianity, as long as Christians don't fight them. And the terrorist group has made efforts to approach Gaza's Christian minority. But in practice, Gazan Christians are disappearing. According to one Christian in Gaza, when he got to university, the first thing people ask you, teachers, students, is, are you Christian? But invasive questions are one thing. Violence is another. And violence has haunted Gaza's only Christian bookstore. Arson, pipe bombs, threats, beatings. Somehow, Hamas authorities were never able to catch the perpetrators. Not even after they kidnapped, tortured, and murdered the bookstore's beloved proprietor, Rami Ayad. In 2007, Gaza was home to roughly 3,500 Christians. Since then, more than 2/3 have fled.
Should Arab countries be taking on the lion's share of the burden to absorb what could be over 1 million, if not more, refugees from Gaza?
I think there's something to be said about the region's partners being able to support and step up Palestinians. However, that does not abdicate the United States from our historic role that we've played in the world of accepting refugees and allowing people to restart their lives here.
These are the same people, before we get into all these nations who don't want to take in the Palestinians, you talk about, they call for a ceasefire after people were raped and murdered. Why should we take them? Why is it our responsibility? Why is it the responsibility of the nation at war with them to take them? Furthermore, do you notice a pattern? Do you notice a pattern there, right? If, you meet someone who calls you a terrorist in the morning, hey, maybe you met someone who's just an Islamophobe. If for the entire day everyone is unwelcoming to you because of your terrorist activity, you're the terrorist.
Since Hamas's pogrom of the 7th of October, we've witnessed something really striking in the West, I think, which is the complete collapse of the moral authority of the woke left and the woke elites. These are the kind of people who for years have posed as caring and loving and wonderful people who just want equality and just want everyone to be treated fairly and nicely. We now know, courtesy of the barbarism of 7th of October, what a myth that was, because they have made excuses for the pogrom of the 7th of October. They've said it was a form of resistance. There's one journalist here in Britain who called it a day of celebration. And since then, they have turned a blind eye to soaring levels of anti-Semitism in Britain and other countries in Europe as well. Here in the UK, there have been 50 anti-Semitic attacks a day in London alone. That is crisis-level racism, and they've turned a blind eye to that as well. And then when Stephen Fry tried to raise the alarm bells about it, they made fun of him on the internet and they denounced him. So the kind of people who've posed as our moral superiors for the past few decades have been exposed as real lowlifes, I think, who don't actually care about racism, don't care about equality, certainly don't care about Jewish people, and are only interested in using so-called anti-racism as a way of fortifying their own cultural power over society. So they really stand exposed, and I think the fallout from the Fry video really demonstrates that even further.
We've had in the last 20 years more immigration than in the last 2,000 years combined. We had more immigration last year than in the entire decade of the 1990s, and no society can cope with such change. And unfortunately, too much of the discussion is about public services, infrastructure, GP appointments and so forth. The cultural change that we have seen in this country because of that. That from the old mill towns of the north to the heart of our capital city, towns and cities are unrecognizable to the generations that once called them home. And this is an issue which we're too scared to actually discuss, but we're seeing the effects of that actually on the streets of London every Saturday when you see these marches taking place